All right. In this video, we're going to talk about American women, whether they're best represented by one of these. Hi, I have an OnlyFans. Oh, disgusting trash. So, are American women trash? And really the question is, does that mean that in terms of dating, you'd be better off looking elsewhere, right? Do you have better chances meeting girls like in the Philippines or Eastern Europe or, other countries? Or is there still hope in America? And to start off, what's your opinion in general about the quality of American women today?
I don't think at least the American culture isn't made for dating traditionally. It's not made for monogamous relationships unless you want to lie to yourself about what your girl actually is or who she is or who she's been or why she's dating you. Because the ultimate truth is that oftentimes these girls do have a lot of other people they're talking to, other guys, even while they have boyfriends. They have like all these guys on the side and then they won't talk about it. The way that women kind of handle the dating scene and the way that it's set up nowadays is that women are going for the very top of guys. And why would a guy at the very top want to settle for her? And then they're all chasing for her. And eventually, as soon as they hit 30, hit a little older, then what do? They start settling and they settle for the guys that weren't him. But really, they thirst for that guy.
Well, the thing is, there's more access to the top tier guys than ever before because of Instagram, Tinder, etc. Like before, if you were in college, before there was Tinder, your only options were other guys in your classes, right? So it's a limited pool. Now the reality is you have Instagram, you have Tinder. Let's just save the comments for because they're going to be retarded.
I want to make sure they can hear. I want to make sure they can hear us.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. So nobody said anything. So.
Have you guys been to Eastern Europe? I've been inside Eastern Europeans. Anyway, generally that does cause a problem where more and more women are dating multiple guys at the same time. They're not committing to a guy because there's so many options. It's hard to commit to one. It's the same thing with fast food and with like our access to sugar. We have access to so much bullshit, much bullshit food that we all become gluttonous. We all become fat because it's hard to just make a commitment to one good thing. Or like we have so many ways to entertain ourselves, to distract ourselves. We're addicted to 80 different platforms and can't focus. So it's the same thing. When you have too many options, it's hard to focus and commit to something and have something deeper. And so modern, especially American women, are having more and more shallow relationships that are very surface level and that are very, I think, in general, unsatisfying for everyone involved. And what happens is it causes them to become extremely histrionic and narcissistic. So generally, like in Vegas, you get an interesting perspective. I haven't lived here for that long. I've lived in a bunch of different cities, but in Vegas, you get women from everywhere, right? Yeah. Asia, different parts of Europe, Latin America, and you see the differences, and every city in America as well. And you see the differences of different people. You see, okay, well, people are more racist from here. People are more nice from here. Yeah. They're more feminine from here. From Irish women are not feminine at all. No offense. So you get to see
attractive Irish women are also.
I think they're physically attractive. They're just not. They're just not feminine. Yeah. But you get to see all the different patterns. And generally, the girls I end up really liking are the ones who are not from a major city, for the most part, and especially not even from America. So the last girl I really had a crush on was from Eastern Europe. The one before that, and I think of the girls I slept with before that, like Canadian, LA, etc. These ones were they were okay, but they were very narcissistic, did not have as much personality, were not feminine. I think American women are the least feminine and the most full of themselves. Like when you ask American women to rate themselves, what do most of them say out of 10 in terms of looks? And maybe we can show a clip from the channel, whatever. They say 10 out of 10. And that is extremely unattractive to me, at least, because humility, grace, these are the things that are attractive, at least to someone like me. And saying I'm a 10 out of 10, first of all, it's just not true. I mean, almost no one's a 10 out of 10. And second of all, it just says that you have this image of yourself that has nothing to do with reality. Right? You cannot see things in a real way because they're fed with all this validation that's very false, very surface level, because guys want to get the pussy. They validate these women more and more, and then they don't have a personality, because how are you going to want to offer value if you're handed so much stuff for free? Why are you going to want to give, let's say, good head if you think every guy wants to sleep with you? right? Part of the reason you learn, like this, I read books about how to be good in bed. Well, part of the I felt I needed to do that, right? I'm not getting infinite sex for free. If I want to be able to keep someone around, I know I have to put in some effort. Yeah. But these hot girls, they get so much validation, so many offers for sex constantly, especially if they use dating apps. That's also a red flag. Girls who don't use dating apps are generally better than the ones who do, and the ones who have thirst traps on Instagram, that's a huge red flag as well. So there are American girls that are good, and those are some of the things you would look for, is that they're not active on dating apps. They don't use Instagram in a way that is very revealing, right?
Well, the worst thing by far is when you date a girl, or you're starting to date a girl, and then like she goes to the club and it's like she knows every guy. Or
has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Or like even worse, like if you go to the club and there's like at least 2 guys at the club that she had slept with, and you're like, wow, is this the kind of girl I really want to go for seriously? Now, as a somebody that's a lot more casual, whatever. But like that's what I'm getting at. Like she'd be cool in a sleeping with her kind of a way, but she wouldn't be cool in a way of actually dating her seriously.
I'm not like the red pill guys, and I think there's something inherently wrong with a woman having a relatively higher body count. I don't think that's inherently a bad thing. I don't think a virgin is ideal. Like dating virgins is bad for a whole host of different reasons. I've dated virgins before, and they get way too attached and too, like, it's the opposite problem, right?
Yeah. Well,
and they can get super neurotic and super,
here's the problem. It's like if they get into hundreds or something like that, or like in the like above 50, that those kind of like, all right, anything that's like, it's just experience, like it's,
what I think it is? I think it's whether they're doing it to fill the hole in their
that's
heart.
What I'm getting at,
right?
If you fuck that much, girls are very picky, and they should be very picky with that. But the ones that need to fill that hole, they're gonna have higher numbers,
right? But you'll never know their number. First of all, so you can't ask. I mean, they're not going to tell the truth. Most girls who are in the hundreds, they're not going to tell you they're in the hundreds. But so many women in America, the hookup culture, the way it's made them start to think, what it does to them is they develop a very taking kind of mentality. They tend to take a very taking kind of mentality when it comes to relationships, because they see themselves as having value, because all these men want to sleep with them. I inherently have value. I'm hot and everyone wants to sleep with me. And look, if I break up with this guy, I'll have 10 other guys I can sleep with, right? And so having that mentality means that those types of women are usually the worst in bed. They don't put in effort. The whole like hot girls being worse in bed, not always true, but on average, generally true. And then their personalities are so much more vacuous, and they just want to create drama, because it's kind of like a spoiled rich kid. When you're a spoiled rich kid, you don't have the real problems that other people do. And so you just create drama because you're living this shallow, vacuous life. And so especially the typical hot American girl with a lot of Instagram followers who uses dating apps, the way she acts is she creates drama out of nowhere. And instead of having a personality where she's nurturing and caring and wants to build something with you, instead she's more like, all right, how do I create drama and lock this guy in by having these highs and lows, right? That's what happens. It's why I believe BPD is probably and that's borderline personality disorder, if you don't know. I believe the numbers for it's like super underdiagnosed. I believe it's probably like, I don't know, a third or something, maybe more, of American women who have it to some degree. Because, and if you don't know BPD, what it is basically it's kind of like bipolar, but in a smaller time scale. So it's where your emotions are extreme, and you have extreme highs and extreme lows, and you have like this friction of going back between them. And so if you're dating someone with BPD, they'll be amazing, like, oh my God, you're a god, you're my king, I want to serve you. And then the next day they turn into a fucking demon, right? And you think, like, it almost feels like satanic. I don't believe in that stuff, but it feels that way when you're dealing with those mood swings, those extreme BPD mood swings. And that's extremely common in American women. And I'm fairly certain, I guess we'd have to look up the stats, but if you looked up like Eastern Europe, I know depression's lower, I know anxiety is lower, I know happiness is higher, like all those things. Even though it's a poorer country, they're less over obesity, et cetera, et cetera. All the metrics are better because the culture has not adapted the level of narcissism that America has. They'll catch up, but they're not there yet.
They're not so Western. They're still Eastern Europe is not. So if you go to like more the UK, you go to more. Like,
I think the UK is a lot like the West.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Okay. Yeah, so if you get over more closer in that direction, A lot of people start to adopt the Western culture because of the movies and whatnot, and our
Right.
American influence.
Music.
Countries like South Africa, Australia, they're all Western in their beliefs, so they're taking on our belief system, the Protestant belief. The
Australian women also very masculine,
but
hot.
Yeah. So other countries, though, they tend to take on more of like an Orthodox culture. With Orthodox is the women in those areas are actually taking on the women's roles, which I think is something that Western culture is kind of fucking up with. There's supposed to be no double standards.
There's many double standards,
but they're paying attention to all women's standards, but they don't really care about men's double standards. Like, you're never going to see a guy babysitting like a little girl. Like,
it's funny how delusional people are. So when it comes to feminism, look, women can see, oh, well, it benefits me to, all right, I need to get more pay. Women don't get, that's actually not true, but the gender pay gap, that we don't have rights, et cetera, et cetera. It's easy to see that and see I need equality, but it's harder to see, oh, are there any privileges to being a woman? How often do you get invited to tables at clubs? How often do you get invited to yachts, like without having to put in some kind of effort?
Flag right there too,
right? Yachts, big red flag. Dubai, someone has pooped on her. Anyway, if she's been to Dubai, and if you're okay with that, that's fine. But so how many times do you get approached when you go to a nightclub and people, like, if you download Tinder, if you're a guy, like, how many guys are hitting you up? Thousands in a day? No, you have to have an extremely good profile to get any matches at all. And women get tons of privileges, but they don't want to see those because it's hard to see what doesn't benefit you and agree with it, right? It's just inherent human bias. And it's gotten kind of out of hand because women in America have given up the feminine roles they played. So they've given up the things they did for men, the things they offered for men, but they've also gained all the advantages men had.
Well, okay, so I'm going to paint like a picture of what the dating scene is. So women, they have an easy time with the upfront. So, but the guys that are getting past the upfront are the top 90% of guys, like the top like 10% of guys, that very cream of the crop.
Or they were there at the right time in the right place at a bar.
But that's it's a lot rarer because that guy's not going to act in a way that's not as needy. That guy just probably has to be on drugs.
We know a couple guys that are not, still pull a lot.
Yeah, that's true. Well, us, for example, we're not like,
we're the cream of the crop. What are you talking about?
Celebrities,
top 1%.
And but here's the thing. So all the guys, all these girls are fucking are the same guys. It's the same guys. And so this girl's thinking,
the amount of girls dating multiple guys is getting I hear that more and more and more happening. Yeah. Well, and the amount of guys dating 0 girls also getting higher and higher.
Yeah, I know that too. Yeah. Which is, it's funny.
Good for our business, but not good for the world.
It's great for STD. It's great for STDs and
less STDs.
Well, like if one guy's fucking all the girls and then one girl fucks him.
You found the positive.
Yeah, then
I like that.
Like she's collecting like Pokemon cards from the.
Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all. STDs. Nice. There's our intro. So look, now I want to be clear. These are averages. On average, I'm tempted to move to somewhere like Europe or maybe even learn Spanish and move to Latin America. They're definitely very different. Latino women can be very dramatic, but they're also more feminine and charismatic, and their culture is more family oriented. Right? A lot of these cultures, they're more religious and more family oriented, and that's the difference. I'm not even religious, but having a religious culture, in terms of the way it makes men and women act, it makes them bond with each other more in a more in-depth way, be more connected to people, have family values, as opposed to just like, I need to get hedonism, right? Just getting laid is the only goal, and like getting as much validation as possible. They
accept the innate differences in men and women.
That's another one, yes.
So like men aren't allowed to hit women, right? And if a woman hits a man, it's not as big a deal.
Yeah, let's get rid of that one. All right. We can get rid of, if we get rid of that one, that's fine. As long, so, all right.
I believe in double standards.
Women, all right.
I think double standards are a thing. Men and women are so different. I know you're gonna make a joke, but we're gonna change subjects while it's alive, just in case YouTube. So here it's so in my personal opinion, I believe in double standards, and not even in my personal opinion, that's facts. When men and women are different, so if men and women are different, they should have different metrics.
At least in terms of dating, there should be double standards, because for a man, what women don't realize is for a man to get a date, he has to do a lot of the work, right? Women will say, well, I'd pay for the date if I make the first move. How often do you ask a guy out? Never. Shut the fuck up then, all right? Like you're using that as a rationalization to where men should pay for you, take care of you, and then you take half their money 5 years later, but you don't get any of the disadvantages that men get, right? So they found a way to make it so they get all the pros of equality, but men also have to do more work, put in more effort, and do the whole seduction, take all the risks of getting rejected by making a move, etc. That's why more and more men are checking out, because it is hard. Now, should you check out because it's difficult, because it's harder than in the past? Well, I think that's stupid too, right? I think that's really lame. Like, first of all, there still are great women, even in America. And second of all, a life without intimacy, not just sex, but really it's the intimacy and connection. That's a shallow life, right? It's just not worth it. So yeah, it's getting more difficult. Well, that sucks, but you got to find a way to make it work. One way, look, if you want to move to another country that you genuinely would move to if it wasn't just for dating, so it's a culture that you like, it's a country that you like, I think there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think it's something you have to do, but I think that's okay. Now, if you're moving to a country just because you can't get laid here, or you've given up, even though you probably never really tried, you like did 5 approaches, they rejected you, you gave up, then that's kind of lame. I think that's lame if you're like going to the Philippines because you gave up, too easily on getting laid here.
Yeah.
However, on average, are the women more charming, more attractive, more feminine, more graceful, like all these things in a lot of other countries other than America? Definitely, a lot more so. That's the overall. Yeah, American women, are they Garbaggio? It's certainly headed that way. To be fair, though, I have met some girls that were great in America. A lot of them, though, happen to be like first generation from a different culture.
Yeah.
Right. So,
well, that's almost like the prime spot, isn't it? It's like first generation anything, because they come with the feminine, but then they also have the more of the confidence.
They're not so different too.
Yeah, exactly. They
so
have
where it's hard to relate to them.
Mm-hmm. Like not fresh off the boat Japanese, but like first generation Japanese.
Big difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, right. Yeah. Like someone who's from Japan, well, usually don't speak very good
Unless
English.
They went to UC Davis, or they went to like UCLA
for 4 years. But then they also have the extreme feminists, and they start bringing up your male privilege randomly, which can be annoying. Even first generation, that'll happen.
They have to tell you how smart they are, like the entire date. I hate when they do that, or they're trying to convince you of how smart they are. Or like I had girls who was
like, just talk in a way that's smart, and I'll believe you're smart.
Oh yeah.
Well, if you can't do that, then maybe you're not.
Oh, that reminded me of your ex.
I mean, she was smart, though.
She was smart, but she was trying really hard on the phone with you. She was trying to impress you the entire time.
Well, that's just when you have game. That's how women act. They do want to impress you. That is a sign also of having game. Women want to impress you when they feel that you're high status. So what is your overall, like your takeaway in terms of this? Are American women trash? Is it time to become a passport bro, move to the Philippines,
it depends.
Hungary, some shit like that?
It depends on what you want. So for me, I'm naturally I've tried to fix it for a long time. I am more of a jealous person. So I just can't date these girls. I can't take any of them seriously. I found that I'm pretty sure the jealousy is biological. Like I've tried my best to.
Of course, jealousy is biological. Yeah. Why else would it exist?
Exactly. So it's just, this is how I am. So do I want to date an American girl? No. Do I really want to date any girl right now? No. So I'm like, cool. I'll just sleep with them.
Fair enough. Although I think even in terms of sleeping with them, like the girls that are, really care about their Instagram, the girl, like the very Americanized kind of women, a lot of them, like, even the sex isn't as good. The conversation isn't as good. The chemistry isn't as good because they're not as feminine, and they just lack certain qualities that they can be hot, and sometimes they can be funny, but that's usually about it.
They're not as funny as like, all right, so they can be funny.
Men are funnier than women
on average.
So one of those things that like,
they have to be.
Yeah, it's not because men are inherently funnier than women. I think women could hypothetically be just as funny as men, but they get attention without being funny. Men, unless you're the football captain or something like that, I became funny in high school because I needed some way to get people to pay attention to me.
Well, you know what's funny? All right, so every time I go on a date with a girl, all right, the majority of girls don't have hobbies, but every guy you talk to has hobbies.
Well, Instagram's a hobby. TikTok's a hobby.
Yeah, their hobby is being on social media and socializing. That's pretty much all they do. I'm like, well, what do you do? And they're like, I'm always on Insta. They actually, it's funny is they don't even watch TV anymore. So like a lot of these girls won't watch TV, and usually I would take that as like a sign of somebody that's hustling. If it was like a guy who doesn't watch TV, I'm like, oh, cool, he's a hustler.
Yeah.
If a girl does that, I'm like, she's always on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. Especially if she's
for
like
the
a
most
hot
part.
Girl. I'm like, damn. I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's great.
So yeah, generally American women are getting worse more and more. Look, eventually maybe there'll be a mass exodus and so many of the guys will leave that the culture will change for the better. We'll see. But it's definitely going in a negative direction. However, that doesn't mean it's hopeless. And look, if you just want to get laid with hot girls, there's still plenty of opportunity for that. It's not that hard to do. A lot of people they check out and give up and are like, I'm gonna move, and they haven't even really tried with the girls here, right? They're using that as a rationalization, as an excuse, or telling themselves it's something that's not my fault. But have you really tried? Have you approached 50 girls in a night? Well, then if you haven't, you haven't tried.
So here's the thing. One, you need to not come to the dating scene with these rose-colored eyes. Like you guys, there's all these like romantic comedy movies. You need to have like realistic expectations.
Women are a lot more fucked up than, I mean, they're just as fucked up as men in different ways.
Well,
but
it's not even that. Yeah, they're fucked up, but it's like it's just that the way that they're presenting themselves, the way society's presenting the situation to men, they're not. It's not. If they wanted men to date them seriously, they would set it up in a different way. They didn't. They set it up in a way for men to, if you want to work at this, to have all the sex you want. And maybe out of all that sex and all these different options, you find a few girls, handful of girls, maybe over the course of a year, or maybe 2-3 years, who are actually really fucking cool girls. And you prepared for it by like being a guy with abundance.
Western culture has made it so you have to be a man whore. Because if you're not a man whore and you settle for the first girl, it's going to turn out she was a thought, and you're going to romanticize her. If you don't have a lot of experience, you're going to romanticize her. You're going to serious. I've seen guys do this, like with a stripper who like quit her job and he had to take care of her, and she was on drugs and like all these things. I'm not talking about you, but I've seen guys do this with girls that they would date, who are clearly just trash human beings, like just horrible human beings who offered nothing. But because it was the first hot girl that they had a chance with, they told themselves this narrative that, oh, we have such a good connection. We have everything in common. We both watched like How I Met Your Mother. Oh, what a shock. Everyone's watched How I Met Your Mother. Stuff like that, right? It's very easy to rationalize. But if you hook up with a good amount of women, you start to see the patterns of which ones are of quality in terms of being someone you could date, and which ones are going to end up being like mistreating you and emotionally abusing you and being BPD and things like that. The only way to be able to differentiate is to have a lot of experience and to have abundance. So in America, you have to be a man whore.
All right. Actually, are there any states? All right. So for me, the
state matters for sure.
Yeah. There are some states where the girls are more likely to be like that. Oftentimes, which is funny, a lot of southern states,
smaller cities,
yeah,
right?
Big cities where like New York, Chicago, if you go to Vegas, if you go to Sacramento, LA, all the girls are doing this culture.
Yeah,
they're falling into this culture.
Yeah,
If you guys want to be if you guys want to date out here in the States, go somewhere like Nashville. Nashville, there's a lot of girls that are like a lot more likely to be girlfriend material.
Yeah,
but if you want to get like want to become pickup strong, go to like one of those cities with all these.
Go to Vegas, take a boot camp with us in Vegas, and we'll get you started on that process of pulling tons of these girls who you're not going to want to see too many times.
Yeah, and speaking of, actually, I'm doing a quick special. Any boot camp, the next boot camp that is sold is going to be 50% off. How much is that, Avery?
I don't actually know.
That's like half.
Oh, it's half. Yeah, it's a lot off.
The total.
Significant amount.
Really a lot. It's super cheap.
The smile at the end. Yeah. And I don't have a special, but I'm also doing boot camps in a variety of cities. I'm going to New York. I'm going to be doing an immersion in Miami, which is a longer term program for people who are the most committed. I am not selling that e-product, so don't have that right now. I'm going to be coming out with a new one that's specifically for beginners. So it's basically the working title is the Kickstart. So it's for that getting your first successes in game, right? So someone, if you haven't done a lot of approaches, you haven't gotten that breakthrough where you're actually having success from pickup. It's about going from 0 to 1 to where you're getting that first lay, if you will. Yeah. So I'm going to be releasing that in the near future. I'll talk more about that, but you can click the link below. We'll have numbers that you can text each of us if you want to learn more about actually working with us in person. But with that said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. Leave a comment about what you think. Are American women trash? What country do you think they're higher quality? And with that said, let's look at the probably shitty comments. Moderation helps everyone feel safe. Oh, it's a safe. Thanks, YouTube.
So to be fair, they should be moderating us, not our comment section.
When you guys becoming passport bros plus birth control. Yeah, birth control does a lot of interesting things, actually.
You should have birth controls like M&Ms in your place. Like just a bowl of them on the counter.
If only it worked that way. Fair enough. There were big strikes. I agree. Blah, blah, blah. I live in third world country, and what you know is when you move in from, you have way more value. Yeah, sure.
Well, here's the thing that I don't necessarily like about that. It's if you are going to a third world country because you haven't developed charisma yet. Like, I just don't like the idea of being a bitch. It's like if it's like how a hot girl won't go to the gym to like, you know, do squats and whatnot.
Yeah, I think it'll turn you into a provider male, and it'll kind of give you a beta mindset because can it get you laid? Can it get you laid?
Yeah.
Probably can, but if you're going to say the Philippines or something because you have more value, well, you're going to know that the value is because in the Philippines you have more money than people there and things like that, right? Mm-hmm. So you know it's not your identity, it's not really who you are, it's just the situation. So you're going to get situational confidence, but you're always going to have it in the back of the head that it's not real attraction for who you are. It's about the status.
If you guys want to hear some wild shit, so you guys are guppies going out to like a little pond where there's nothing but tadpoles. Well, then you take a girl back to the States and there's fucking sharks like us, and we won't even try to take your girl. We're not even trying to like. But guess what? She walks into a bar or club where she's out there with her boyfriend. We won't even be talking to her. She'll just the entire time just on Avery like this while her boyfriend's right there, and him and me are both feeling awkward as fuck because you didn't develop game. You didn't learn how to be a shark. You're a guppy with a tadpole. We eat you both.
Fuck your girl.
We never would
just
do
to
that.
Teach you a lesson.
Never would do that.
No, to teach you a lesson. It's for your own good.
Okay, unless you're white and we're trying to get reparations for our race.
So okay, where are we going?
We have to. I don't know. This is going downhill.
I'm concerned. I'm concerned.
Okay. Downhill really fast. We're sorry, YouTube. We're joking. Ha 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 ha.
Yes, in Minecraft is what they say. Whenever they're like, "Oh, it's not. It's in Minecraft, so it's like it's not a real. It's part of the video game."
Yeah. All right. So, Jimmy Old.
Yeah, the comments were whatever. Nothing really needed to respond.
Guys, come on. Better questions. How dare you? Guy who's disagreeing with us. Ha ha ha. I have not done a boot camp overseas. It won't be this year. At best, it'll probably be next year. Best cities.
Philippines boot camp.
I really don't know the best cities in America or Europe. I know where a lot of guys are going. And they have told me multiple times not to tell you fuckers. So I'm not allowed to. Chance, you need more moderation than us. That's what I was fucking saying. It's over. It's like smurfing. Smurfing.
That's like a video game thing, right? Yeah. My brother plays League of Legends. I think that's where you're really high rated and you go against low rated players. That is that makes it sound really messed up. It doesn't make it sound good.
You play against professionals.
Yeah, it doesn't make it sound good.
No. Oh, that is actually. I'm gonna call it smurfing. That's hilarious.
That's a good metaphor. Yeah, I'm gonna keep that. But
date smurfing or
it's
game smurfing.
It's
game smurfing.
Passport smurfing or something. Yeah.
Smurfing's hilarious. That's a funny fucking title. Stealing it. Trademark Charisma King, not Avery.
Yeah, it's ours now.
That's why stay in the pond. Yeah, I guess if you stay in the pond, you don't ever you're exiled from your country because you're afraid some guy's gonna take your girl if you go back. You can't even see your mother. She never gets to meet your mom. Like over in New York because she's afraid that he'll like be walking his girl across the street and then like two pickup guys will come around the corner and see the girl with him.
Just gotta leave her in the house in the Philippines.
He runs over. Mine now, bitch. Runs away. Grab the trash can again.
This is American.
Now this is you. Now this is you. This is you now. Stay if you want to stay in the pond forever.
All right. Now let's go pick up some trashy American whores.
All right. So now that we just talked mad trash on women, now we're gonna go pick up some whores.
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyways, peace, guys. I'm gonna use that thumbnail as the